edition of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Jonathon Howe with you, Travis Cunningham with you. It is episode 47. Thanks to our partners, Oshweekend Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement, and Bicknell Racing Products, signing both Travis and I's paychecks. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. And also, we got a shout out. We got Van Sickle Pet Value and Lundy's Lane Pet Value coming on board, as well as the Merrittville Go-Kart Club, which is active on Tuesday nights. You should go and check out some of the stars of tomorrow in the go-kart series. And we've had plenty of stars come through the ranks at Merrittville in the go-karts. And Travis, appreciate everybody coming on board. Appreciate we're going to get some sticker shout outs.
Yeah, we got sponsors now.
A busy episode. Yeah.
We're getting legit. We're getting legit.
We are like the Jeffersons. We are moving up.
Yeah, we're getting close to like our year. Getting close to our year thing because we started at the beginning of last year.
Yeah, pretty much like first episodes would have probably debuted, I think, right after the Spring Sizzler. So, and then our first interview show was with Pete Bicknell. We'll probably revisit some of that on social media in the coming weeks as well. So watch for those if you're not following at sods_pod, SODS_POD. That's where you can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and of course, follow us Southern Ontario Dirt Show on Facebook as well. With all that said, Travis, it is episode 47.
We sound too official.
I've got
now.
my cat.
I'm not used to this.
I know. I've got my cat Tiki trying to come and have a visit right now. Hi, Tiki boy. With all that said, I feel like we got to have our number driver of the day. So number 47, who comes to mind for you?
Obviously, Dylan Westbrook, the kid that kicked living snot out of us up at Oshweekend for half of a decade. And yeah, now he's an ASCS National Tour guy and still races with us quite a bit. D-Dubs.
Yep.
Former guest as well.
Yes, former guest as well. I'm going to go with second in points at Merrittville Speedway last year in the Hoosier Stocks in the 47X, Kyle Pelrine for number 47, episode 47. So shout out to Kyle and shout out to D-Dubs as well. And where should we start this thing? I think we got to start with probably Test and Tune, right? That's kind of the thing that's most fresh in all of our minds locally here in Merrittville Speedway. We saw I believe it was around 110 cars, maybe 108 cars,
Golly.
give or take how you count them, hit the track for practice laps last Saturday at Merrittville Speedway, including yourself, Travis. And as I pointed out in my little video recap on social media, you ended up P1 on the speed charts in session 2 for the 360. So start with the track and how things went from your vantage point.
Yeah, the second session was good. The first session, new car coming out, we had a little bit too loose, but the track was good. I honestly thought it would be like a little bit more heavy, but the first session was already starting to blow off, but there was still good traction spots throughout the whole corner to get and stuff, and that's when the racing's the best, when the track's like that. And there was even some good racing in the session 2 in front of me. Gledhill and Dykstra were going at it like crazy. Like I got some good footage of it on my GoPro. Like those boys were racing like it was a real race. And yeah. Fastest next session after we dialed some bite in it, and it was on first lap, and I watched it on my GoPro, and I definitely hammered the gas a lot harder at it too than the rest of those laps, but no one could beat me. And but like Alan Ever says, we talking about practice. We ain't talking about the game. We talking about practice. Yeah,
practice, man.
That's right.
I think the biggest thing for me that I don't have access to that kind of bothers me, maybe it's just a function I haven't figured out in Race Monitor yet. Maybe I can set this up, but I can't see average lap times. I'm a big believer in average. So like, give me, what's your speed look like over the course of 5 laps consistently or 10 laps consistently? Because that means more than being able to turn one quick lap. Because if you beat a guy by a 1/10 or 2/10 in just one lap, but he's averaging over the course of a run to be 2/10 of a lap faster than you, but you're set up for a long run, that means more, and that's going to result more in a win. Like it's the only thing I wish we could see, like 5-10 lap averages.
There's got to be a way to do that,
right? There's got to be a way. So
I'm a rookie on my race pass too, but there's definitely, like, I remember when I just used to go in onto my laps back in the day when transponders first came out, there was a way to do that, and you could compare yourself to other guys and see how you fell off or picked up, and vice versa. You could compare yourself to the whole field. So I'm sure there's got to be a way to be able to do that.
Exactly. That's the stuff that I think makes the most sense. So for now, when I did my little recap Of Test and Tune on our social media. Again, at you can find this on Twitter at sods_pod. I kind of went through each division based on what I saw. I took a little bit of notes here and there. As far as the 358s, I'll run through them quick. That I just kind of thought that the best guys are going to be the best guys in that series. Matt Williamson, Ryan Susie. There's a reason that we had a tie between Gary Lindbergh and Ryan Susie last year. I don't think there's going to be a tie in the championships at Merrittville again this year.
I hope
But
not.
I wouldn't be surprised if we're into the final race and there's five guys, maybe probably four guys that are still mathematically in it with a shot to win it. So
This year there was 3,
yeah, I think that it's going to be a very competitive year again, and I think it's going to be
or
pretty
last year. Sorry.
balanced. Yeah, a lot of that hinges on what Matt Williamson does and how many races he wins, or how many races he wins versus how many he misses. Because obviously, we know that that 6 car is going to be dialed in. But I liked what we saw out of defending co-champion Ryan Susie. He looked pretty good, and I find Gary Lindbergh, you really can't judge him until he gets on in race conditions with his car. So taking a look at the 360s, you kind of talked about them. One thing that I talked to multiple people just up and down the grandstands in the pit road, and they said that Mike Bowman, it took him a while to get to posting a quick time. I think it was the 4th session of the night before he actually topped a speed chart at the end of the session. Mike Bowman, though, looked scary fast. I use that in quotations because that was what multiple people actually said to me, is that 71 360 car looked scary fast. So we'll see what Mike's got when it comes to racing conditions. He is, I guess, a rookie. It feels weird to say that, but he is a rookie to 360 racing, right? So uh, I think there's a lot to learn still with the 360s because not everybody was really out there. I think what you guys have like at max 12 cars, I
I
think, in
think
one
12 or
session.
13, something like that. Yeah, but like another
Yes.
rookie was quick as first session, Darren Dryden,
Yeah.
and
Right.
then Aaron Turkey in his new GSR blew by me like I was tied to a fence post in the first sesh
Mm-hmm.
in his new GSR chassis.
Mm-hmm.
And who else? Eric Leto, yeah, his first laps in a 360. Corey Turner was second fast in the second sesh, so it felt good to beat defending double champion, even
Yep.
if it was just practice. Feels good. And he's with a new team too now. Took over the 17X from Mac to Man,
Yep.
and so yeah, lots of new stuff in the 360s. Jeez.
Yeah. I talked a little bit to Cody McPherson before Test and Tune night, and it sounds like he's not going to be able to make a full schedule at Maryville this year. He mentioned he has some family obligations and stuff that he's going to be tending to throughout the season, so he's not sure if he's going to make the full schedule. He might chase some of the bigger points races and tour races around with the sportsmen. So I don't know if we're going to see a repeat champion necessarily in Cody McPherson, which really opens the door. My early, I don't want to say early favorite, but heavy Chevy Chad Chevalier dropping back down into the sportsman after a couple years in the modified. I believe he ran 2 years in total, I think, in the 358s.
He's been up
Going
and down for the
right.
last 2 decades.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
kind of his story, right? Is he runs it when he can, and then when he can, he goes back to sportsman kind of thing. So
Yep.
he seems kind of poised to be the driver to beat, I think. I thought he looked pretty consistent. I think Chad Chevalier is going to be the driver to beat. But of course, Junior, going to have the same guys that you always see at the top there: JMF, Sharp, Leslie. I think I
Sharp
think we
just
can see,
unveiled his card. It looks amazing.
right.
Just
It
on
looks
Facebook.
great. Uh, Terry Smith, I think, could be a contender this year. Jay Mallory, I think we're going to see Nelson Mason up there, and there's a whole kind of another tier right behind those guys who, again, if they jumped up and made the move into becoming contenders in the sportsman, again, I wouldn't be surprised about that. Uh,
Fairway moved to modified, so there's 2
yes,
wins right there to replace.
exactly right. That's a great point as well. I was watching that session and I was like, wait, why is he out with? Oh, and then I forgot that at
Why
Motorama
does
when
he
we
have
caught up
sail
with him.
panels?
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. We caught up with him at Motorama, and he did tell us that he was going to go to the modifieds, the 358 modifieds, and I kind of forgot about it until practice. So that's why I like going to Test and Tune as an announcer, because I remember all these things. In the Hoosier stocks, I think the question is, can anybody stop Dave Bailey? He looked fast again in practice, not a surprise. Uh, I'm curious to see if Mark Fawcett ends up running a full season with us, as well as Chris Hale. Both those drivers look very fast. Rob Murray, I think, is going to be good as always. And one driver that I wanted to point out as maybe a dark horse to have a breakout season. I think Kyle Haynes could really do something in the Hoosier Stocks this year. I really liked what I saw out of him on Test and Tune night. It's probably a way too early prediction until we get racing, but I
I
liked
think he
what Kyle
won one
Haynes
at
was doing.
Ashweekend last year. He's won.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised to see him doing something special. The one thing I did say about the crate sprints, I think it's way too early to tell anything about them because I think there was maybe 6 or 8 crate sprints, and I don't think they all turned that many laps in each of the sessions.
Brett
So,
Stratford definitely looked the fastest. Got to give
mhm,
a shout out to Alan Slade, who was out there,
yep,
BRPI Racing Series driver,
yep,
former sport. He almost won the Sportsman Championship back in the day in
mhm.
2006. He lost it by 1 point to Wayne Kahn, a big sponsor on Matt Williamson's car now. And the last night rained out, so that was a big kick to the stone still to Alan. But good to see him back and in a crate sprint.
Yeah, that was nice to see. Just rounding out the other classes that you're going to see regularly at Merrill Speedway. I'm again predicting probably a Josh Slater, Brent Bigelow duel in the mod lights. Ryan Anderson improved greatly at the end of 2022. Maybe this is the year he kind of takes a step up to be like maybe the fourth challenger. We didn't see Tyler Winger on Test and Tune night, so I kind of holding my breath. Not holding my breath. That's not the right phrase here, but I just I'm holding off getting too high on the stock of Tyler Winger. But at the same time, like I am ready to buy stock in Tyler Winger as maybe the third or even the second best driver team car in the mod lights, depending on how experimental Josh Slater is and what Brent Bigelow decides to do with his
Pretty
season.
sure
Because
Josh is in a brand new car,
that's
so
what I'm thinking.
he's gonna
So
have to figure that baby out.
right, he's got to
Sure,
shake it
he'll figure it
down.
out quick.
And anytime you're shaking down a new
Although it
car
took
like
him a
that, you
minute to
really
figure out the first one,
exactly. That's what I was just gonna
but
say.
they're
Is that
starting to fix. They've built more now. That was the
yeah,
first one that
he
Josh
keeps
got.
building these new cars, and then it takes him a second or a couple weeks to figure something out. So, early in the season, if we see Brent having mechanical failures like he did last year early in the season, and Josh doesn't quite have the setup, the door's going to be open in that class, and I think it's going to be competitive or more competitive than we've seen it. As far as the four cylinders, I think not a lot to say just yet. There weren't any TMR cars as far as I could tell. I didn't see any of the TMR gang out on the racetrack in the four cylinders, but they're pretty much always going to be the favorites. I liked what I saw from Nick Erskine and Vincent Pagnotta. Both of those drivers looked like they were ready to take a step in the division and be contenders
Has
for top
Vince won
10s and
yet?
top
I'm
five.
dying for a Vince Pegna to win.
I
Let's
don't
go, Vince.
I
I don't
don't
think
know
he
if
has
he's
yet,
won
but
it
he
at
was looking
Merrittville.
close. He's been getting close. I
For
don't
some
think he
reason, I
has
feel
yet.
like he's
He's
got
been
one at
around forever.
Humberstone, right? Does he have one at
Yeah,
Humberstone?
I don't think. I'm not sure, but
Yeah,
uh,
he's right
he used to
there.
work on Pete Bicknell's crew, and he's been around forever.
Yeah, he's right there knocking at the door. If Vincent Pagnotta hasn't won yet, he is 100% going to break through, I think, for a win. Another driver you're going to have to contend with is Austin Worstrow, and maybe even if Toddy, too. So there's lots of storylines, and hopefully they'll start to be unveiled this Saturday as part of the Spring Sizzler 2023, although at the time of recording this, it is not looking ideal with the weather situation. Um,
Please change.
yeah, we want to get this thing started, and we want to see all the fans back in the stands. We want to see race cars back on track when it counts. Just I'm optimistic. I'm trying to be optimistic. There's a Mary Swanson chance here in terms of getting something happening, right? So uh, I'm optimistic. But if we do get the Spring Sizzler 2023 going this Saturday at Merrittville Speedway, brought to you by Peter's Construction Group, you'll see the Southern Ontario Sprints, the 358 Modifieds, Dirt Car Sportsman, Hoosier Stocks, and four cylinders in action. No mod lights on that first week. And interestingly enough, too, that the points and perfect attendance awards will count starting at the Spring Sizzler should we get it in. So we'll see. From there, I think we should jump into some Merrittville. Well, a Merrittville driver who was not at Test and Tune because they were elsewhere, and there was some pretty good action involving them and involving races that they were a part of. So, Travis, why don't you catch us up on Trevor Wright and Mercer?
Yeah, basically, Chiller Thriller happened. It's one of the first races. Like Mercer's pretty close. Like it's only 3.5 hours away, maybe even less than that. Or no, it's way less than 3.5 hours. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's under 3. Just over the Pennsylvania border, down the I-90 west, and then yeah, Trevor went down there, said, "Don't worry about testing too. I'm going to go down and have a race." And I talked to them at the banquet, and they were saying they were thinking of doing it, and they did it. And they went down there, and that can be a pretty rough series. They ran the whole race, kept her clean. Trev did a good job. I heard he was in the top 10 a little bit, got up to maybe 8th, I think they said on the Trevor Wright racing page.
Mm-hmm.
And then ended up 12th, and that's a pretty good deal with them boys. And so good round to him. Good to see him travel. Love to see that out of him. Garrett Crummert won the race. Eric Rudolph, I think, had a flat tire or something and had to come. He is usually a heavy hitter on the BRP Big Block Series when he runs it.
Yeah.
So to see him not win was weird, but I hear he had trouble and still got back to 5th. Tyler Willard went down, but he DNF'd, so tough break for Tyler. And yeah, that's the Chiller Friller at Mercer for all our local guys. I've been there once with Mike Bowman. He ran it.
Yep.
And it's just a heck of a little. That place is kind of Merrittville, like curved back stretch,
Yep.
straight front stretch. And yeah, I like it. Only been there once, but it's a cool little joint.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see a young driver like Trevor Wright going and getting more laps elsewhere against different competition, because as you can attest to it, every lap that you can get in a race car behind the wheel is going to be beneficial to you. I'm a big believer in the 10,000 hours. No matter what you're doing in life, the more hours you
No
put into
doubt.
it, the better you're going to get. So shout out to Trevor Wright and representing well south of the border. Also, we should give a huge congratulations and shout out to Charlie Sandercock, who became the first Canadian to ever win at Winchester with his first Flynn's Tire Tour victory.
Winchester Dirt, obviously.
Yeah, exactly. Winchester Dirt. Good to clarify that. But yeah, he had the late model down there doing good stuff as the Rush Dirt Late Model Series was running around doing the Battle of the Bay, they call it. And then lo and behold, Charlie gets it done on I believe it's the Sunday night show.
Yep. And we already talked about his good run in the first night where he led some of it and ended up 6th. And I think the next 2 nights he was like maybe 11th or 10th or something the second night. And then the third night wasn't his night. And then was able to get her done. So I think that was his 4th career Rush Tour win. I think I remember one of them. I called it, or I didn't call it. I was in the booth that night. Their announcer called it. I forget his name.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, number 4 for old Charlie Sandercock.
Yeah, so
I love when Canadians win over the board.
Isn't it the best? Get to represent, get to grab onto something and be like, yes, go guys, go us.
Yes.
Look at us go.
Go team.
Yeah, Team Canada. We should also talk about, I wanted to give a sticker shout out. So if you haven't seen our social media posts, we have stickers with the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast, and they're a perfect size to stick on your race car or any kind of vehicle. I've got one. I actually put one of mine on a fridge. I put it on my fridge at home. So that's where I'm rocking mine. Travis, you've got 2 up on the wing. Good representation.
Maybe a bigger one eventually.
Yes, hopefully get some more representation for the show up on the race car there. Put it in victory lane. That'd be nice to see. That'd be pretty cool.
That's the plan this year. Or I might have to retire.
We'll see.
That'll never happen. But
yeah, I was gonna say I can't imagine you stopping for anything, but we'll see. I did want to take.
I got sticker shout outs too.
Yes.
Or yeah, you haven't said them yet. I'll do mine after
yours.
yours.
I'll start with mine. So I'm gonna, every time anybody buys a sticker from us, I am gonna give them a shout out and a little mention on the podcast and a big thank you as well. So I want to give some shout outs to Scott Wood and crew and family, Ryan Susie, Dalton Slack, Andy Bobandy, and his brother Ethan, Cody McPherson. I believe that covers everybody because one of your crew guys bought one from me, but technically that was your pile of stickers. So if you want to shout out, I think it was Aaron, right? Aaron was the one who.
Yeah, Aaron Matthews bought one. And who else do I got? Scott Brown from work, Scott Bretherick from work, Scotty 1 and Scotty 2, as you know them.
Yep.
And who else? Oh, my whole dart team.
Nice. So shout out to everybody who bought a sticker. If you're wondering what the funds are going towards, well, it's going to pay for us to, well, at least me, to get to some of the Canadian dates of the Super Dirt Car Series. That's my plan for any monies that we can generate from this. Just trying to increase the coverage. And I think going to see some Canadian dates of the Super Dirt Car Series is a good little way to spend that. And if not, it's going to be spent on going to Super Dirt Week. And maybe if we really get crazy,
we're going to that no matter what. TC's paying gas.
There we go. That's what I want to hear. If you want to get really crazy, we could talk about going to the World Finals at Charlotte. Now that's crazy. We'll see. We'll see what we can
It's
pull
not
off.
that crazy.
I don't know. We're both. Isn't that busy season for you guys?
Yeah, that one is tough for
Yeah.
us. It's just starting to crank up at BRP. You'll learn.
Yes.
No more 3 days a week at that point.
I am.
You'll be nice and trained by then, and we'll be like, "Oh, Jonathan, we're gonna need you on Monday for sure, and probably Friday."
Oh Lord, and then it'll be a 7-day work week. So we'll see how that goes for me.
And by then you'll be fully functional. It'll
That'd
be
be
great.
great. Yeah. I actually, if you've been listening to the show lately, you've heard the Bicknell Racing Products advertisements on the show. I've taken up the opportunity to jump on board and take a job there, learning from Travis in the fab department. And I don't even know what am I? Am I apprentice? Am I?
Sure, that's what Teddy called you.
Yeah. Okay. Then that's
We'll go with
cool.
that.
That's what I am. I'm a welding slash fabricating apprentice
Slash,
slash.
do everything we tell you. Slash, that's what everybody does
Yeah,
though.
exactly. You got to start
Like
somewhere.
you were sweeping the floor today, I jumped in
Yeah,
with you.
because you're the Michael Jordan.
No,
No, you don't want to be called. Now you don't want to be called the Michael Jordan of BRB.
I just said that thing that Michael Jordan said on the Chicago book on the Netflix thing where he said that he never asked anybody on his team to do anything he wouldn't do. Like that's
Yeah.
just that just
So you
spoke.
asked me to sweep the floors, and you pick up a broom yourself. Respectful, TC.
Correct.
Respectful.
Correct.
Also, I just mentioned the Super Dirt Car Series. We should mention that the King of the Big Blocks is scheduled for April 23rd from Bridgeport. So this Sunday, assuming they don't have any bad weather, they will be in
I
actually.
did not check the weather for down
I
there.
have not checked for New Jersey's weather either.
Fingers crossed, because they've been getting hammered on the Super Dirt Series with rain.
Yeah, so we would like to see a Super Dirt Car
And
show.
I'd love to watch that on a Sunday. That's the best when there's like a big race like that on a Sunday, and you've already raced yourself, and like you've already watched the car, and then you can put your feet up in the shop, and oh yeah, can't wait.
Yep.
No, don't cancel.
Yeah,
Come on.
let's hopefully get one.
Dirt Car Dean's got to go do his first race.
Yes, we need like an anti-rain dance or something like that.
Yes.
We should probably end off before we get to some interviews. We're gonna have Scott Wood on the show. We actually caught up with Scott back at the Motorama show, as well as Peter Turford, who's going to give us kind of like a inside look at what we can expect to see from the Southern Ontario Sprints this season. Because I'm pretty sure by the time Motorama came out, that kind of was the last of the news for Southern Ontario Sprints. I think every surprise, every trick.
There's going to be more.
Is there more?
I know that for a fact. There's going to
Okay.
be. Can't say nothing, but I'm pretty sure.
Okay. Well, there could be more stuff down the pipe.
For about one race, anyway.
As it stands, with the hopeful season opener scheduled for this Saturday, Peter Turford is going to walk us through what you can expect to see, what fans can expect to see from the Southern Ontario Sprints starting at Merrittville and throughout their schedule this summer. So going to be interesting to hear what they have to say. It was a good blast having them on stage with us at Motorama. So stay tuned for those two interviews. And before we get to them, we want to end off. Were you calling this a TC rant? Is this a rant for you, Travis?
Meh.
I don't know if you have.
Not me, because like there's a bunch of people ranting about it on both sides.
Well, let's wind you up here.
But this is just like a clarification.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go. Just go.
Like, you're not going to set it up? Okay, fine.
No, I'll react to it. You go.
Tuesday night, Castrol, whatever, Flow Night in America or whatever, Eldora Speedway. Kyle Larson runs his first ever UMP dirt modified race, and he wins it. And, of course, the internet blows up and like, oh, my God, this guy's the best ever and stuff. And, like, he totally is. Like, not the best ever maybe, but, like, he's totally But, like, to me, it's not surprising when he wins anymore.
No.
Like, he wasn't a good car and stuff like that, but, like, that doesn't matter because he is a really good driver. Like, he's been... Like, for me, I've been watching him since he was 14 wheeling a 360 sprint car because back then I was a 23-year-old trying to be an up-and-coming sprint car driver too. So, like, I've followed him through his whole career. And, like, I literally, back in the ARCA days, I'd be like, Mom, watch this guy because you're going to be watching him winning the Cup Series. Like, and I always say, if he wins his inaugural Indy 500, it's not going to be surprising to me. Like, I almost suspect it if he gets a good enough car.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He hasn't won the Daytona 500 yet. He has struggled in that style of racing, but to me, that style of racing is almost outdated. I can't stand watching them junk like 3/4 of the field. They say they want to save money, and then they go for 4 races a year and destroy the whole field. It feels like at least half the field every time they do go and destroy him there at Daytona and Talladega. He hasn't really been good in that kind of. He hasn't had the best luck in that style of racing, but other than that, in his career, he's won in everything. And to me, he is amazing, and I love him. But like, it's not surprising to me anymore.
Yeah.
That's it.
I'm 100% in agreement with you. Like, we should not be surprised seeing Kyle Larson win anything at this point. And I love that you're like, yeah, he's still got to win a Daytona 500. But I think people forget how close he actually came to winning a Daytona 500. Like, he ran out of gas.
What year
Was
was
it
that?
24?
Yeah.
No, it couldn't have been 2014.
And one year he got right reared on the last lap where he was making a charge for the lead. I can
And I
remember
think it
that
was
one.
2016. He ran out of gas.
But he just always
He
gets
ran out of
wrecked.
gas running at the front
Yeah.
of the field. So, I mean, that was a fuel strategy race, and that, you got to play the game, and not that isn't necessarily the best, measure of somebody's restrictor plate skill to win a race where it's a fuel mileage race. But still, the guy's had his opportunities. So, it shouldn't surprise us what Kyle Larson can do. If he went and ran Le Mans and won Le Mans, I wouldn't be surprised. If he won the Rolex 20, he already
Well,
has won the Rolex.
he has won the
Yeah,
World's
right.
24.
So this
Yeah.
guy can do whatever he wants behind the wheel of a race car. He's always going to find himself in good equipment, and he's going to go out and perform. So at this point, it's more of a surprise when he doesn't run well, especially when it's on dirt. So I
Yeah.
guess here's my
Which,
question involving this:
okay.
when do we see him win a Super Dirt Car Series event? Will we see him win?
First, you got to run
When
one. Yeah. With all the late model and sprint car stuff, it's going to be hard to fit it in. That's the main problem.
if we get a
But
Super Dirt Car Series race at Eldora, that'll be what does it.
yeah, I don't know if they're going to go back. They've done Eldora a bunch. But yeah, that's another thing, too. Like, Monday night was his best track. And, like, just to throw the other end of the spectrum, this is kind of like a dirt racing thing. He went out in the late model, and I think he almost, if he didn't get lapped, he almost got lapped and finished like 12th or 13th. So, welcome to dirt racing. Hero 1 second, 0 the next. That's why dirt racing is my favorite sport, because it's so humbling like that. You can see it all the time on the Outlaws and all the big traveling series. For the most part, you can see a guy win, and then next night in the D main. So, yeah, that's my favorite thing. And where are you going for that? Right?
I think that was everything. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah,
I just wanted to say I want to see him run a modified now.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah. Oswego small block would be nice, because I know that we maybe could fit that in, or sometime when they're close. But it's just tough. It's a lot more northeast too, right? So you got to maybe travel a little more for him.
Can we get him?
I almost say, like, I want to say it because, like, dirt modifieds are such a different. Actually, they do drive a lot like a wingless sprint car, so he's probably going to figure it out like that. Although they do kind of trying to drive like more like a late model now. It's kind of like a late model with a wingless sprint car. I'm sure he'll figure it out. He'll be in the best equipment if he says yes.
If he performed,
that's step one.
If he performed this year at the Bristol Dirt Race, I think there would have been a push. There may still be a push behind the scenes to get him up here for one of those two Pinty Series races at Oshweekend.
Well, yeah, if he wouldn't have lost his mind at the Bristol Dirt Race, he probably would have won. And he spun out. He was definitely fast.
Just overdrove it. Kyle Larson, if you hear this somehow, get up to Oshweekend this summer. Come and win one.
He's been there.
Win one up here.
Already done it. Been there, done that.
Not in a Pinty's car.
I can't see him
doing it either, but you never say never.
Other than Stewie, all the other NASCAR guys that got asked said no.
Maybe Bowman. Get my boy up here.
That's a possible.
Yeah. I don't know what sponsor connections you have.
Are you listening, Clint?
Clint, I got lots of ideas. I have zero connections, but lots of ideas. Let's get some stars up here for one of those two races in the Pinty Series.
I'm sure he's got some stuff up his sleeve. Sure. That's
speaking of which, we should probably shout out to them for dropping some massive purse news, by the way. The Pinty Series on Dirt Race, I believe it's both races, 25 to win. I'm just going to say, I'm just going to double check that to confirm, but it was announced over on Clinton Jeffrey's other show on GeForce TV that there's going to be some race rivals. There's going to be some big cash thrown around this year at the Pinty Series races at Oshweekend. Let's see if I can get the number here. I want to say $25,000 for each race to the win.
That's what it was last year.
But now there's two race events, so I believe that is the case. But more details on that can be found via the Hits FM. Oh my gosh! Wow, slipping into my bad habits here. You can find that on the Oshweekend.
Oh wow! Edit that out.
We'll cut that out. More info on the Pinty Series purse and on how you can get tickets via the Oshweekend Facebook page at Oshweekend Speedway, just so you know. With all that said, Travis, let's get to our interviews. Scott Wood and Peter Turford coming up on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show podcast. Hey everybody, it's Jonathon. Quick note here. There's a lot of talk of the spring sizzler and whether it's going to happen or not happen. If you're hearing this, chances are you've already seen the announcement, but in case you haven't, Merrittville Speedway have just made the decision that the Spring Sizzler 2023 is going to be canceled due to the impending weather for this coming Saturday. Looking like it's going to be real ugly out there in terms of rain and how wet the track is going to be. I just don't think it's going to be a good day to get fans out to the racetrack or drivers out on the racetrack. So the Spring Sizzler 2023, not going to happen. Full press release you can find via the Merrittville social channels as well as merrittvillespeedway.com. And we'll get going again with Select Total Service Night, the 72nd season opener for Bobcat of Hamilton Weekly Racing on Saturday, April 29th. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Ohsweken Speedway, Southern Ontario's home for Friday night excitement. For over 25 years, Ohsweken Speedway has promoted and played host to sprint car racing with a new season of family-friendly events on the horizon and set to begin May 19th. Catch our own Travis Cunningham as he races weekly in the 360 division each Friday night in pursuit of a season-long championship. The Friday night lineups are rounded out by crate sprints, thunder stocks, and mini stock divisions as well. In addition to weekly racing, Ohsweken Speedway will also hold several marquee events for the Southern Ontario Sprints, the Action Sprint Tour in their West Series and National Series, as well as a visit from Canada's premier stock car series, the NASCAR Pinty Series on August 14th and 15th for their only stop on dirt. Mark your calendars as the 3/8 mile dirt track located in Ohsweken, Ontario welcomes drivers from across the country and beyond for the 19th running of the Canadian Sprint Car Nationals, which is scheduled for September 16th. To keep up to date with the latest news from the track, be sure to find them on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. For track information on policies, admissions, directions, and more, be sure to visit ohswekenspeedway.ca. That's OHSWEKEN Speedway.ca. Ohsweken Speedway, your home for Friday night excitement. The Southern Ontario Dirt Show is brought to you by Bicknell Racing Products. The last 40 years plus have seen Bicknell Racing Products grow to be an industry leader for racers and enthusiasts alike. Their St. Catharines location is home to 20,000 square feet of manufacturing and retail space, with a second store in Niagara Falls, New York, and a dealer network that continues to grow day by day to serve Southern Ontario, Western New York, and beyond. Bicknell Racing Products distributes Hoosier tires for much of Eastern Canada, New York, and even parts of Pennsylvania. BRP has everything you could need to keep your car performing at its peak with genuine parts from the manufacturer. They even have a technical support line committed to helping you with the most up-to-date information and feedback from racers and crew chiefs. Have you ever thought about a career in the automotive or racing industry? Now is your chance to take the leap with Bicknell Racing Products. They are looking for CNC machine operators, welders, and more to join their team this season. Please send all resumes to Dana Curving at BicknellRacingProducts.com. That's DANACURVIN at BicknellRacingProducts.com. For further information on Bicknell Racing Products and to find a dealer near you, visit BRP online at www.BicknellRacingProducts.com or on Facebook or at twitter.com/BicknellRacing.
All right, Pete, like I said, it's definitely the most pumped up I've been for a sprint car schedule around here in Ontario in quite a while, and we're going to get right to it. You said you got a little bit of news to tell everybody, so let's make the announcements for the Southern Ontario Sprints.
Okay, I'm going to try and make this as boring as possible, so I'll try and stretch it out. Quickly, yesterday morning I woke up and I sent out a note to our sponsors as to the current state of the SOS, and I said I'm a little bit down that we haven't been able to pick up more sponsorship. I got a reply back from the greatest friend of racing in Ontario right now, John Brush, who said, I'm going to kick in 5,000 more to your to the SOS. And I thought, that's great. That's wonderful news. That's a great way to start a day. And then I go to have lunch at a local restaurant in Hagersville, and I run into a gentleman who's probably another great friend of Ontario Sprint Car Racing, Dan Nanticoke.
That's for sure.
And I had the best coincidence ever. He was supposed to be taking his daughter's class on a field trip to the Motorama show, and thankfully the little brats in the class hadn't managed to fill out their parental you can go to the car show sheets.
Yeah.
So Dan didn't go to the car show. He was getting his tires changed, and happened to sit down next to us in the restaurant. And the next thing you know, we come up with a Nitro 54 Super Series for the Southern Ontario Sprints, which is going to be a series within the Sprint Car Series. And it's going to be 5 races, paying $3,000 each night to win.
Wow.
And there's going to be an additional $1,000 to the top 10, or not to the top 10 drivers. We're going to give $100 each, just to thank them for being part of the series within the series. So that's allowed us to pump up those 5 shows there. Very pleased. It was a great day yesterday for Southern Ontario Sprint Car Racing.
It really was. And Travis, you can really speak to this as someone who's going to be on the SOS Tour. Just what does that extra purse mean to you guys as drivers? How much more faith and confidence do you have that you can make it to the racetrack and actually not only just go and participate, but come out maybe a little bit ahead when it comes to this?
Yeah, I'm committed to doing the whole series anyway, but I'm thinking for more like this, what this little 5-race series is going to do, a little extra money, is like if people weren't thinking of running the whole thing, they could come on board and maybe do those 5 races like I used to do. That's how I kind of used to handle the SOS back in the day, just kind of as like a little thing to add on. They used to do like the shootout between Buxton and Oshweekend, and those kind of things are a little fun within the whole series to bring up the extra money. So yeah, I'm definitely pumped. Which races, do you know which 5 those are going to be yet?
I actually do mostly, but of course, the July 14th Oshweekend show is going to be one of those races. And that night we're also honoring 2 legends of the sport, Harvey Lennox and Harold Brown, if you know the Brown brothers that run at Oshweekend. And for that night, it's going to be a $4,000 to win deal because John Brush is kicking in there as well.
That's amazing. Yeah, I'm super
That's
pumped.
really good stuff. I'm so excited to hear.
We're also doing that for the opening show, which is probably the worst idea in history because that'll be my first night running in the SOS, and it's going to be bugs galore, I'm sure, and then we're going to, put the extra pressure on ourselves. We're going to be adding it the Humberstone show, I believe July 2nd will be one of them. The first show at Southern Ontario Motor Speedway will be as well. I really like Southern Ontario Motor Speedway. It got a bit of a bad rap, and one of the reasons for putting that money up front there was to try and induce guys to come and see how much that facility has improved.
Yep, that's definitely good. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back there. They've made a lot of safety improvements up there recently, and definitely met the needs that we've set out for them to get. So I can't wait to get up there. It's almost like a small Oshweekend with like little tighter corners. Almost, it felt like to me.
Yeah, to be honest with you, last year I was really, really impressed with how the track raced, and I was there helping out Dylan Westbrook, who was running the outside, but Dylan won. But Dylan said, "I think I could have gone to the bottom and been even faster." So 2 racy grooves at that place as we saw it.
Yep, that's definitely during the COVID year with the Knights of Thunder. That was like our awesome night where we got to feel the super fast speeds again for the first time in a couple of years, when we got to go there and run the whole hot laps hammer down and the heat race hammer down.
Yeah.
And like you say, you can. Like the heat race, the top was the place to be, and then the bottom was the place to be that night for the feature. So, yep.
Yeah, you mentioned the season opener, which is coming up about just over a month's time now at Merrittville Speedway, my home racetrack, where I get to call the racing. And I know you're maybe a little bit on edge about it, but just maybe for the fans who aren't really familiar with the SOS Tour, just tell us a little bit about what the SOS is about and why they should make it out to the Spring Sizzler.
Well, the SOS has evolved over the years, and to be very honest with you, what I think we tried to do is be a series that you wouldn't go broke racing with, but you wouldn't get rich racing with.
Yeah.
But the way the sport's evolved now, it's the purses, like I say, we used to be a $600 to win series, and now we're like that opener at Merrittville. With the increased purse, and I believe the ESS is off for sure. I think it's going to be a very crowded place. I think the pits are going to be on full. And like I say, for a first night, it's going to be bad for me, but I think if you're a fan or a competitor, it could be a really good night.
That always is one of my favorite nights of the year, just because Merrittville opens up so much earlier than some of the other tracks, and it's a perfect night. Like if the weather looks awesome, you go ahead and do it. If the weather looks a little iffy, you pull it. But if the weather's awesome, that night always makes money, and the pits are always packed, and the stands are always packed. So that's my favorite part of that night.
Yeah, the weather that day, it can be absolutely amazing. And as we know, it can be bad. But boy, if you get a nice day, It is just a treat to be there.
No doubt about it. Yep.
There's nothing better than sprint car racing and modified racing and just a full night of racing action in Thorold, Ontario on a Saturday night in early April. Peter, thanks so much for taking some time and joining us here today. This has been a blast. Is there any other news? I don't want to cut you off, but what other news do you have? Hang on, we might have more
so
news.
where is the $5,000 that Brush give? Into the point fund?
Brush, half of it's gone into the points fund. Half of it's gone into that Tammy 10 Harold Brown night. And I'm trying to decide right now if I want that to go to the racers or if it should go right to my back pocket, because I'm getting so rich running a race series. You guys have no idea. Everybody should run a race series.
Sarcasm alert.
Oh, just when I was getting motivated, I was like, I could run a racing series. This doesn't seem that hard. You just come on and do some podcasts, break some news. It's great.
Well,
Peter, this has been a blast, man.
Can't thank you guys enough for letting me brag.
No problem, Pete. Thank you. Can't wait to run your series, buddy.
Oh, this is awesome. Folks from Van Sickle Pet Value and PV on the Lane aren't just fans of your favorite four-legged friends, they are race fans too. That's why Jeff and Rhonda Riley, as well as their staff, have teamed up with Merrittville Speedway to make your race day experience more convenient. Race fans can now pick up tickets for race nights while grabbing the highest quality food, treats, toys, and accessories for their pets from the St. Catharines and Niagara Falls locations. Each grandstand ticket will also have a voucher that can be used in-store for a free pet bath at their dog wash stations. Drivers and crew members can also skip the line by purchasing pit passes in-store, giving them more time to get their rides ready for Saturday nights. Check out Van Sickle Pet Value across from Best Buy and Walmart on 4th Avenue in St. Catharines, and PV on the Lane at the corner of Kayla Road and Lundy's Lane, Highway 20. The Merrittville Kart Club turns 30 this season, and they can't wait to celebrate with you. Join them Tuesday nights to see the next generation of local heroes race their way up the ranks. Matt Williamson, Cody McPherson, and Dalton Slacker are just a few names who have graduated from the Merrittville Kart Club ranks to become winners and champions of the sport. The season will begin May 9th with multiple practices through the end of April and May scheduled, including driver school April 23rd. You can support the club by purchasing a 30th anniversary t-shirt or hoodie, both of which are available now for pre-order. For more information and kart club schedule, visit merrittvillespeedway.com. I'm pretty sure the last modified race that I called, I think Mr. Scott Wood won, if I'm not mistaken, at Merrittville. So, Scott, it's a pleasure having you. Thanks for coming on the Southern Ontario Dirt Show, the live edition of it, and thanks for bringing your beautiful 38 machine here to the show. So I guess talk to us about what made you bring the car up to Motorama.
Oh, that was one of those last-minute deals.
Oh, hold on. Oh, sorry. That side, my bad. Technical difficulties. There we go.
Hello, there we go. Yeah, that just happened kind of in the last 3 weeks, I guess you could say. So we scrambled, got everything going, and here we are.
Yeah. And I think the best touch of that car, if nobody's noticed it, but the rear bar that you actually have the Wood name put into that. That's amazing. When did that idea come around?
One of my best buddies, Jeff Morningstar, I'm sure Travis knows.
Yep.
We made that about 15 years ago.
Wow.
We'll give the full story. So like when that first came out, Jeff had this thing back in the day. He used to like get cars DQ'd from the mall show. So like one year they put this weird, almost Batmobile style body on it and lightning bolt bumpers in that wood bumper. And it was definitely the craziest looking thing in the mall show. So talk about that.
Yeah, Randy Williamson called me up and did not appreciate me putting that car in the mall. I had people coming up and he said, I can't even get my finger under your left ear in a quarter panel. How do you run that?
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter right now, as long as it looks good, right? That's the mission, right?
Well, it did its mission. It got the attention. That was the whole point of the deal, right? So.
Yeah, exactly. Scott, just talk to us a little bit about ending off the season strong at Merrittville Speedway, where you're a regular with that 38 machine. Yeah, you got to win late in the season, and it's good to see you return to your winning ways.
Yeah, like I say, it's a struggle out there now. The technology's changed a little bit. The shock packages are changing like daily almost, and there's a lot of tough competition in Merrittville. It's just a great bunch of guys out there. The track's always pretty good. It makes for some pretty good racing.
Yeah, you're a good guy to talk to this about, because like back when we were all on torsion bars and coils were not cool, you were on the coils like one of the first guys way back. And so just talk about like the difference now from like the torsion bars, and then now we're like everybody's on coils where it wasn't, and like you did it a little different like than they do it now.
Yeah, we were on bird cages back then, so that was one of the biggest changes, and our Panhard bar was on the other side, and that's what's really throwing a loop into this whole thing, I think. the riding is horrible, actually, with the left side panhard bar. Now your head's constantly beating off the headrest, and especially if it's rough. But and like I said, the spring packages now with the stack left rear spring and preload and all these other things they want you to run, it's a challenge.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because I was watching Mandy Poach's podcast and she had her dad Billy on, and he said the exact same thing for older guys, that the new left side panhard really beats the snot out of the drive. And I do see it on like when it's rough. Not around Merrittville, it never gets rough. When I see it on like flow and stuff, that the car is just so much more bouncing. It's almost like a torsion bar would be better on a night like that.
Yeah, I think it would. Like, it actually locks the car down, I think, a lot when it gets rough. It just overwhelms it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that's changed for me, and just in the short time that I'm watching, is just I think the gap between the fields seems to be closing. Where, when I started at Merrittville in 2019, there was maybe 3, 4, 5 modifieds I think I could pick out that I could guarantee would be in the top 5. And the other guys, they'd be close. They might have a good night. They might be able to take advantage of track position and starting position. But last year, it just felt incredibly tight. Not always necessarily in the win column, but on any given night, anybody could run comfortably inside the top 5. So just talk to us about, throughout your career, the change in the gap between competition levels.
I think the competition level has always been there, but it's just everybody, the window of your setup to hit or miss it is really tight now. And I mean, like, you're talking 25 pounds could throw you out to lunch for that night, or you just didn't put enough or too much stagger in the car. All these little things add up to how you end up that night.
So I think your rookie year in modified was like the year I was born, 1987. I think I read that in an old dirt magazine. So they talk about like the difference between racing back then with like the Jimmy Bigelows and who was all around. Like in your rookie year, like what was the modified field in your rookie year?
Oh wow, there was Charlie Rudolph,
Pete,
Merv Treichler. There was who the heck else is out there? Oh, Don Turner.
Yeah, there's like Gino, like Jimmy Bigelow too, right?
Jimmy Bigelow, yeah, and
the two Thorold boys.
Yeah, there was some battles there once in a while.
Yeah.
But like I say, back then, like, we just threw shocks in the car. There was no torsion bar checkers. Scales were, grain scales maybe, or jack up it off the rear end and look pretty good, and off you went.
Like, were the drivers back then a little rougher, or like a little bit more assertive, or like what do you say, like the driving styles now? Do you notice any difference, or is it all everyone still no holds bar out there?
I think it's about the same. The cars definitely handle better now than they did back then, but again, the technology's helped with that. We've, we're a lot more dialed in on where we have to be, where before it was more of a guessing game than anything else, right? So, and there was no tire rule back then, so it was just, everything was different.
Yeah.
Something that Merrittville's kind of been dealing with is the challenge of dealing with different engine packages and running different body parts and running the sail panels, which a lot of people have a distaste for. But looking ahead to 2023, after a year of that, how are you feeling about where the modifieds are at in Southern Ontario?
I think they're at a turning point, and they don't really know which way to go. I think the Wagner motor is a great engine package for the price and the reliability and maintenance-wise.
Yeah.
You can't build a great built 358, as Travis probably knows that. It's just the cost of everything's just escalating so much. Like tires, fuel, it's just back and forth from the home to the track. It's really getting out of hand, I think. So.
Yeah, it's going to be quite a challenge for all you guys, all your teams, and all the racetracks to keep this show rolling as we go. And it just makes it that much more important that we have some representation and people here hopefully come out and see drivers like yourself take on the tracks like Merrittville Speedway and represent 358 racing. How are you handicapping your season though? How are you feeling going into 2023? Is Victory Lane on the horizon for you again this year?
Yes, I think so. We had some great momentum from last year, and this is carrying on into this year just from the way things are rolling out right now. And we learned a few things at the end of last year, and I'm going to carry those over this year, and I think we'll be a force to reckon with once again.
I think so too. You had a good year in 2021. You won 2 races that year too, and then last year you got one on the last night. So definitely getting back to your winning ways. I want to talk about the Freshstone Brands because I had no clue about what was going on over there. And I know your dad's one of the best wheeler and dealers and sponsors in the game. I definitely know that from the days when Lyndon used to go hang out with my dad over at Fioravani all the time. Yep. So tell us about the Freshstone Brands. I see Tony sitting here, so let's talk about that.
Put me on the spot here again, yeah. No, he's one of our new marketing partners. It's a great package we put together with Tony, and we're going to carry it forward well for him and represent his brand well. And we'll have greater things to come, I hope. Oh, and yeah, come over for samples.
Samples at 5:10. So if anybody
Perfect.
wants to
Delicious.
experience the Freshstone Brands, first for a potato salad. I'm hearing that is the recommendation over there. I like that. I like that. We're getting some
Freshstone
audience
Brands.
participation.
Tony is embarrassed. I've never seen Tony this embarrassed in my life. It's just nuts.
We're killing him.
We're killing him.
This is great. This is great. But it's a beautiful looking race car. So is that the scheme? That's the wrap that we're going to see at Merrittville Speedway this year?
That's what we're going to see in that car's actually race ready right now, other than an air breather and some fuel.
Awesome. That is so good to hear. It
You can
matches
get in
the
the fire
fire
suit.
suit. Okay.
Man,
Yeah, we're all
Scotty
back.
is going to be styling.
We're all matchy this year.
Yeah.
Big year for Scott Wood. This is what I want to hear. This is what I like to see. This is awesome. I want to. We don't have a ton of time left, so I want to make sure I get this question in because we've been asking all our drivers it lately. You've had a chance to actually hear this question, so maybe you've had a chance to think about it. But when it comes to building the perfect dirt facility somewhere in Southern Ontario, you get an unlimited plot of land. You can take whatever pieces, whatever parts of different racetracks from around the world and incorporate it into your design. What do you build in, and maybe why?
I don't know where I'd build it for sure, but I love Little Valley when that was running. I don't know if you've ever been there. That's it's
I've
like
raced
a
there.
miniature Syracuse, basically.
Okay.
And with the facility of a Schweigen around it, I think.
Yeah.
Glenn's got that dialed in pretty good there, I think.
Let's talk about Little Valley, yeah, because I raced against you there, and like it was almost like it was shaped like Martinsville, right? And then the way I loved how it was like on the horse barn, and like some guys would literally have to park in horse barns and
Yeah,
stuff.
you didn't know when you got there, you were like parking somewhere in a horse barn, and you
Yeah.
drive down these fields, and there was a racetrack.
And it was always like on State Fair weekend too, or like there was always a fair going, awesome food on the other side and stuff like that. So yeah, I love Little Valley.
In the middle of a town, there's houses all around the racetrack. It was crazy.
Yep.
Oh, that sounds like a good spot to build. And I've always loved Martinsville, and I always wondered what it would be like as a dirt track. So you got me on board with that one for sure. Let's talk about one race car, one racetrack. Any kind of race car, any racetrack in the world to drive one more time in your life. What's the pick?
Big block modified Syracuse Mile.
Oh, I love it. Scott Wood.
It's a popular
Great
answer.
answer.
It's a popular answer, but it's a good one. So we
R.I.P.
appreciate you
the
taking
Moody
the time.
Mile.
Yeah?
R.I.P. I was literally watching races from there this morning when I woke up.
You fall asleep to those races, I think,
I literally
sometimes.
do. There's a wicked video on YouTube where it's like it's of time trials and the sounds are perfect. We're like through the grandstands and that's that sound you used to have. It literally puts me to sleep. Yes.
Yes. I don't know if that's the best thing you want to say to get people to come out to a racetrack, to say the cars put you to sleep, but okay.
Sounds, because it's my, not
white
like
noise.
that.
Music
Yeah,
to
it's
his
my white
ears.
noise.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
I
Okay.
do that with
get it.
F1 old engines too, like the V10s.
I'm on board with that one. Okay, I can take that as a noise machine. Scott, thanks so much for taking the time out. Thanks for bringing your car out here, representing over at the Freshstone Brands setup here right in the center of the racing zone. It's going to be awesome to see you at Merrittville Speedway. Enjoy what little of the off season we've got left, and can't wait to see you at the Spring Sizzler.
Thanks for having me, guys.
No problem. Thank you,
Awesome.
Scott.
And the checkered is out on another episode of the Southern Ontario Dirt Show presented by Ohsweken Speedway and Bicknell Racing Products. Like what you hear, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Connect with us on Facebook at Southern Ontario Dirt Show or find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at SODS_pod. Have a question for the show? Email us, southernontariodirtshow@gmail.com. Thanks for supporting local racing in Southern Ontario, and we'll see you at the track.